Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this keynote. My name is Marco Costa. I am the General Manager for EMEA of Talkdesk, and I have with me Pedro Pombo, Managing Director at Accenture. Thank you for joining us, Pedro. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll be in these 30 minutes talking about AI and how AI is transforming the contact center. So today's agenda, why customer retention and the bottom line needs investment in AI, how AI-infused contact center harnessed human touch in customer experience. We'll talk about a case study in the food delivery, and then very important, we have the chance to do Q&A. So if you have any question, feel free to ask them. In an era of data-driven business models, actually, we can measure the impact of customer experience, and we can measure the impact of customer experience in the bottom line in business. According to Accenture, 93% of customers agree that it's important that every interaction they have with the brand is excellent. What this means actually is that each interaction matters. And if you turn this around on another studies, it shows that 1 out of 3 customers, they churn if they have one bad experience. Just one bad experience, and you might be losing 1/3 of your customer base. 87% of customers actually say that it's important to understand the customer. Me as a customer, I need to know that the contact center, the customer experience center I'm calling, they know me. What actually we are asking and what we expect is a personalization or even a deeper personalization of my journey. And 70% of people actually spend more money on the brands they trust. When you talk about the type of channels that people actually want to use, 57% believe that call is still the most important, the preferred channel. Why? Well, you can do digital, you can do a lot of different channels, but if something urgent, if it's something you need to have fixed right now, what you'll do is you'll actually reach out over the phone, and you expect people to be there and to listen to you, to serve you again, and provide you a great experiences. So basically, we know that in the past, great customer experiences have been difficult to quantify, but today we know it actually get impact on the bottom line. How much impact, you guys ask? So we can say that enterprises with amazing brand and amazing customer experience outperform the stock market by 134%. It's actually more than 100% of what market is doing. And they grow their share of wallet by 9 times. This is real data, again, from real studies that show that you can measure and you can capture that impact in your bottom line if you actually pay attention and provide an amazing customer journey to your customers. So what do you need to provide a great customer service to your customers? Technology, it's paramount. If you don't have the right technology, you probably won't be able to deliver a great service. So we know that to reach excellence, you need to make sure you have the right technology in place, route to the right agent, help the agent with the right context, with the right data. And by doing that, you make sure each interaction actually matters. So today, AI is really at the heart of the customer experience. We know that if you have the right technology, if you have the right tools in place, you'll be able to provide a better customer service. How can actually, you cannot hide behind websites, behind apps, you cannot hide behind complex IVR trees and waiting lines, limit communication with customers. You need to talk to your customers when your customers want to talk to you. In the channel, they want to talk to you. And make sure it counts. AI can actually increase the level of personalization, can make you take the most of those moments when the customers want to talk to you. And if you look at some, again, results for data that you measure in the contact center, you can see that there's an improvement in CSAT of around 19%. Agent productivity, 20%. Reduction of waiting time, more than 20% as well. And time to answer, time to answer can be reduced up to 21%. Again, you have to have the technology. Of course, you have to deploy the process. You have to make sure you define the journeys. But if you don't have the technology, you just can't do it. You need to have the enablers in place. So um, what are the personas you need to touch when you think about the customer experience? You have, of course, the agent. You have to support and help the agent. You need to be able to provide better tools for the supervisor. The admin, defining the journeys, making sure they understand what's going on in the contact center. And finally, the customer, which is your end goal, is actually make sure you serve and service the customers, which again, keep in mind, it's so easy for them to churn. It's so easy for them to go and find something else because there's more and more options. Whatever business you are in, most likely there's easy options that they can go and churn from you to them. So today, people really expect service now. So we know that we are being used of the speed of social media. We are being used of the speed of brands like Uber, like Airbnb, that basically reshaped the customer expectations. Guess what? We as a customer, that's what we expect. We expect nothing less, but if you want to know right now what's going on, we need to know right now. We need the speed and convenience of customer service. And if you're running an operation, you have to be able to cope with those expectations. So basically, we are putting AI to kind of support this transition and the meet of these expectations that we all as customers have. So we believe that AI-infused contact centers can help speed up customer resolution in 4 different angles. So one is optimization. We're talking about IVR. Why not even try to kill the IVR in many of the interactions? So why do you need an IVR? If you know your customer, if you know the reasons why they might be calling, why don't you actually just suggest some solutions? And we can talk about that in the case study today. But definitely there are IVR trees that fail. You know, people always go through number 2, and actually they want to talk about number 4. Something is wrong there, and AI can detect that and can make those decisions better. Route to the right agent, and the right agent is not just the person that has the skills. Maybe it's the person that has historical information and has been talking to people with similar profile of the caller. So we need to get one level up in terms of how you make those decisions. Then you have to enhance the experience. So for instance, agent assist. While people is actually on the phone, you expect to the agents to know everything they have to know about the customer, about their historical relations with the company, and that's difficult because the agent will get a lot of calls. They have a couple of seconds to get that information in front of them and actually serve a customer that is on the line, probably waiting already for some time. So you need to make sure that you help, you assist the agent, you provide tools to coach them in real time. And with speech science, that's already possible. And you can actually make your agents super agents with all the information they have in front of them, and not too much information, the information relevant for the interaction happening at this point in time. Then you can go into more self-service. Can talk about virtual agents, chatbots, automation. So there's a lot of tasks that you might not need a person, a real agent to solve. If you can spot, and that's why it's so important, the optimization, if you can spot why people is trying to talk to you right now, maybe you can offer other options that are as valid, as good, or even better as an agent, because you don't have to wait for the agent to be available. So if you can provide virtual agents for some use cases, chatbots for other use cases, or even automations that can actually speed up and free time of the agents and free time of people, because there's no waiting lines for a virtual agent today. And also the automation, which we kind of talk again, but simulation automation comes together. You can actually use all those tools to do call deflection. And let's be clear, call deflection is not necessarily provide a poor service. is actually make sure you take the most of all the options you have, depending on the context of the person that is reaching out to you. So how do you make this happen? One, you need data, algorithms, and you need to have the right infrastructure. So data, contact centers today, we can generate a lot of data about your customers. Actually, even more than that, you can connect and integrate with a lot of systems you have that can bring data in real time that are useful for the context of that interaction. And you're talking about all the tickets the customer had before, former interactions, even former, I'll say the mood of the customer when he called, which person did he talk to. You can have all that information combined. And the question is, what do you do with that information? You have it, or you can have it if you decide to collect it, if you have the technology to collect it. But you're talking about billions of interactions, billions of data points. You need something, you need algorithms to take advantage of that data, assuming you have it. So with this, with the right technology in place, with the right algorithms, then you can start getting insights, understanding, okay, there's some trends here. I know that these types of customers, when they called after this specific event, probably there's an opportunity to go on self-service. And again, I'll talk about that, like the real life example in a second, but you need to transform that data into knowledge, into insights. And then you need to have the right infrastructure to be able to scale and cope with the growing number of data points you are collecting. Of course, doing that in a way you actually respect privacy, you respect data sovereignty, but that scales. And honestly, at this point in time, cloud native solutions are the best way to allow you to process all this data in the right way, the way that can scale if your business scale and can adapt to your needs and to the learnings you have during the journey you are taking. So let's talk about an example. Talkdesk, we have several customers on the food delivery market. It's a huge market, talking about a $14.5 billion market in Europe alone. And let's see how those areas apply here on this specific example. So one, customer journey intelligence. So you need to know, you need to have the option to define the journey of your customer. You know that in this use case, in this business, time is absolutely critical with online food delivery. And again, you expect to order, and you expect the order to be with you on time, no delays, no errors, just be there at your convenience. So speed is actually paramount. And if you combine historical data with recent orders, you can actually start clustering your people. You can start knowing more about your customers. One example is applying AI on this use case. We learned that for a certain group of customers, when they call up to 5 minutes after the order has been placed, what they actually know, what they actually want to know, is change their order. And if they are changing their order, you might want to route them directly to an agent because maybe you have an upsell opportunity. Maybe you can actually get more stuff and send them more things that are complementary. By the way, you know what they've ordered before. You can actually get recommendations of the kind of things you can instruct your agents to suggest to your customers. But if the customer is calling 10 minutes after the order, then they don't want to change the order. They want to know, where is my food? It's delayed. It should be here already. I need it. And so probably you should not put your customer on the waiting line to talk to an agent. Maybe with this information, with historical information, you can just suggest, look, you know, if you've done an order, your order will be with you in 3 minutes. It's on the way. If you still want to talk to an agent, please wait on the line and we'll make sure we'll connect you. But you are already defining journeys based on what you've learned from previous customers, from this specific customer, and from the context you have. So it is kind of how you can define the journeys to get those advantages. But then you have the conversational intelligence. So when the customer actually talk to an agent, and they need to have this amazing experience as if they were talking to a restaurant, as if you were sitting and asking your food. You expect people to know everything about the food you just ordered, which is basically impossible considering all the options you have. So poor agents here, they need help. How can you help them? You can start applying speech science, for instance. You can start measuring the sentiment of this customer. Is this customer really unhappy? Why is he unhappy? What happened? You need to get this data in front of the agent so it can transform that experience and make it a better experience. And during the interaction, we actually can measure sentiment and tell the agent, look, it's working, that the person is a bit more positive, or you can actually go back and understand in previous cases, in previous calls of this same person, what happened, what was done by the agent that actually worked. And you can bring that knowledge again in front of your agent. So you can actually assist the agent during the interaction. And again, keep in mind, you might already have done the journey and put the customer in front of the right agent, with reducing the waiting lines, because you have deflect some of the calls you had before. So the third layer is actually interaction intelligence, taking everything you've done on the contact center, take not just one interaction, but a lot of interactions, and help the agent know how the agent is performing, know what's working, what's not working, know what the IVR path that actually are underperforming, if those assumptions you had of the 5 minutes and the 10 minutes are actually okay, or if something is changing, or if some people are actually in a bad cluster and you need to change them again. So all this information, all this intelligence, you need to keep evolving, so you are in the position of keep improving the service you are providing to these kinds of customers. And finally, the contact center intelligence. So putting all these together, and this becomes discovery all the performance issues before they become widespread. For instance, if there is another real life example, there was a restaurant that actually started delaying the orders, and you know that because 1, 2, 3, 4 people actually start calling on the same restaurant. Probably there's something going on there, and you wouldn't realize because those calls might be going to different agents. But if you have the overall layer in terms of the operation, you probably can spot there's something going on with this restaurant because I have 5 different agents already getting a call about food delays on this place. What's going on? Shall we call the restaurant? Shall we reduce, shut it down for some time? But something needs to be done in a proactive way. And having AI looking into this data in real time can help you understand what kind of preventive measures you can do. And again, this can happen. People might be reaching over the phone, might be reaching via digital channels. You have to do this across all ways people can talk to you, so you can actually get a comprehensive view of your current operation. So bring it all together. So we have what we are trying to do here is resolve problems faster, make sure people go on the right channel, making sure we make each agent a super agent because you are giving them the information they need while providing your customer the service they expect in the channel they expect, and consistently across those different channels. How do you do that? You get basically context is absolutely critical, and context means data from historical interactions and data from real-time interactions, what's happening right now. You can get them from the integrations. You can actually also plug in here the current state of your contact center, because if your contact center is actually with huge waiting lines, you might want to be a bit, I would say, a bit more ambitious in terms of the call deflection targets, as if your contact center is actually less busy at this point in time. So you have to consider all those variables. And again, as I said, technology can help and will definitely help, is the enabler. Without that, you can't do it. But then you need the processes, you need to actually the journeys, you need those learnings and apply those learnings into your operation. So to close, Talkdesk, so we are one of the few, not the only, born cloud native cloud solution. scalable operations from, I would say, 100 seats to more than 10,000 seats in a single operation. A lot of AI all over the place. So we don't have an AI product. We put AI in all these different personas, in all the aspects of the platform. We are today a leader at Gartner, Magic Quadrant, also a leader from the customer perspective on the G2 crowd, and number 53 on the in this 2020 Forbes Cloud 100. Really focus about customer with the belief that if our customers are successful, they'll come back and we'll keep growing. So we offer 100% SLA, an amazing customer service, because you have to walk your talk. If you care about customer service, if you are in the business of providing great customer experience, you have to do it yourself. You have to do it for your customers. And so, with no further delays, I would like to bring Pedro into discussion. Pedro, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Marco.
Can you tell us what do you do at Accenture?
Sure. So I'm a managing director at Accenture Interactive. Accenture Interactive, we're in the business of experience, and I've been focusing these past few years mostly on digital customer service initiatives, because we feel that and contact centers are a big part of obviously customer service, but we see it more and more as experience centers rather than contact centers, much because of the reasons that that you've talked about, and the use of AI and the shifting role that contact centers are playing in an omni-channel perspective that clients have of companies.
Thank you, Pedro. That sounds interesting. And with that in mind, how do you see AI changing the contact centers today in terms of technology, but also in terms of staff? What's the impact of AI today?
Okay, so the impact of AI is pervasive in many different facets of what are customer engagements nowadays, and specifically in that which regards contact centers, I would probably point out three main aspects. One is, as you've talked about and guided us through that example, is the overall customer experience, right? When used properly, AI can create moments of magic in what could be typically moments of pain. When you're contacting someone, you're typically trying to solve something, and your state of mind is probably bad to begin with. So it's really incredible the way that we can use AI nowadays to make sure that not only people can self-service more, because data tells us that people really do want to self-service more when reaching out to contact centers, but also in streamlining and simplifying the whole experience for them. So that's one aspect, which is the customer experience. The other, which you've also touched upon, is the agent experience. So having a helpful AI guide an agent throughout the interaction that he or she is having with a customer can make a big difference in increasing first call resolution, for instance, and obviously improving customer satisfaction. Again, when used properly and by giving out information in context pertaining to the interaction that the customer is working on, this can make can have a very large impact in these metrics, and also obviously in reducing average handling times of the calls. The third aspect, I would say, is the overall management of a contact center. So contact centers can produce, contact center technologies can produce a lot of data, and that's just gold to mine on from a management perspective, into figuring out what further efficiencies you could bring about to improve your overall performance. So these three, and perhaps just a small nudge to being a part of this omni-channel experience, AI obviously is the fundamental rule AI and data to making sure that people can jump between channels and have a streamlined experience.
So Pedro, you talked a lot about AI. We talked a lot about AI, but what about people? What about the human experience? You also mentioned that I think was 57% of people prefer pick up the phone, talk to someone. Is there still a space for the human element?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say that AI is what allows us to be more human, and that is particularly true in the context of contact centers, because when you have AI that can take away some more routine and boring tasks that people could typically associate with old school contact centers, then the human element does what humans are good in doing, which is making sure that an interaction with a customer really counts, that empathy is there, that people can solve the most complex issues, and by that particular way, that a customer will leave more satisfied. So it's really flipping the old model on its head, where in the past you would have lots of people just trying to do one or two things in the most efficient way possible, but now you've got the machine to take care of those interactions, and so you have to have these super agents, which AI will also help, but that will bring with them this human element of ingenuity, of empathy, that is critical in the overall experience of the end customer.
Okay. I think in the study also, Accenture also mentioned that 80% of customers want that personal experience. So want customers to understand us, but 71% also reported, maybe it's a bit too much. So what are you doing with my data? Maybe you know too much about myself. So I guess the question is, how can contact centers use AI, but make sure we are kind of within the boundaries of privacy, and what are those boundaries, if you can ask, because we don't want this to become a creepy experience. Any comments on that, Pedro?
Yeah, sure. So first, obviously the hygienic part out of the way, making sure you do comply with rules and regulations and jurisdictions on where you're working on. But more than that, I believe that transparency is key. Your customers really need to understand what their data is being used for, and not only understand from a legalese perspective or from the fine print, but they really have to feel that the data that they are providing is in fact being used for the betterment of their experience, right? So if people feel that their data is being used in a transparent, ethical manner and within the scope of the interaction that they're trying to solve, and that in fact it did help them have a better experience, I believe that makes a big difference. I keep repeating the word experience because, as you said, experience is key. I mean, when you have the amount of data that you have in today's world, and when you have the technology and the computational power to process it all and extract from it insights, what makes a difference is how you're going to piece all of that together into something which, as you say, is not creepy and is in fact helpful and thoughtful and can offer these magical moments of excellent customer service. And there's a very fine line between what is good and what is bad, and it obviously differs in different cultures and different geographies. It is different, so your mileage may vary per geography, but I would say that embedding good customer journey design, having experienced designers also in the process of creating your overall contact center experience, coupled with technology, data, that's I would say the secret sauce to making it all work.
Pedro, thank you so much. I'm conscious of time. I think we are on the top of the hour. So thank you for joining us today, Pedro. I don't know if there is any question from the audience. Susan, you were monitoring. I can see that. I think we have the questions today. So thank you so much, all of you guys, for joining us. I hope it was helpful. Pedro, once again, appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much for having me.
Keep up the good work and bringing AI, but not taking the human touch out of the way. And have a good day, all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.